Welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Riancho, and it is Saturday, week 7. Time for the injury report. Every player across the league and their injury designation. If they're questionable or out, I will bring them up. And sadly, I did record this video already with the microphone unplugged. Let's try and do this again correctly. In LA, the Rams are without Puka Nacua. He's been ruled out, but they are hopeful he'll be back after the bye in week 9. But this week, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, and Devontae Adams will step up. I also like a boost in value for Kyron Williams and Tyler Higbee, but Stafford feels a little shaky. Right tackle Rob Havenstein is out. He's missed a few games, and he's not going to play in this one. For the Jaguars in this London matchup, tight end Brenton Strange is on IR. He missed last week as well, and it looks like Brian Thomas Jr. is just the obvious guy who benefits the most. His targets went up last week to 10, and Travis Hunter got 7, but didn't do anything with it. Hunter feels too mid to trust. I'm only expecting Brian Thomas Jr. to have value at receiver. Linebacker Devin Lloyd is out for the Jaguars, but let's move on to the Bears-Saints game, where New Orleans offense is fully healthy, but their cornerback Isaac Yiadom is questionable with a hamstring injury, and defensive tackle John Ridgeway appears to be coming back from IR. For the Bears, kicker Cairo Santos is out, so Jake Moody will get the start again. And then running back DeAndre Swift is questionable with a groin injury. He was limited Thursday and Friday in practice, but it appears to be maintenance rest related. It seems to be all part of the plan. According to him, he will play, and he's been in similar situations, albeit with different body part injuries. In weeks 3 and 4, he was also limited and played through those injuries. So Swift should be fine. I'm expecting Swift to play. DJ Moore is also active, but DJ Moore I was concerned about earlier in the week. In the subscriber league, I picked up Luther Burden with the option that maybe DJ Moore wouldn't play. He was in the hospital Monday with a groin injury, didn't practice Wednesday, limited Thursday, but then on Friday he was full. He is good to go. He is active for this game, but has been rather disappointing. Not my favorite play, despite being available. On defense, linebacker Noah Sewell is out with a concussion. Linebacker Ogbong Bamiga is questionable to return from IR. He is probably suiting up. Defensive end Austin Booker is out, and defensive end Grady Jarrett is questionable for Chicago. In Miami, we all know that Tyreek Hill is on IR. Kicker Jason Sanders remains on IR, and I think I didn't rank Ollie Gordon high enough. The weather's a big factor, and I do think the run game will have a boost. Ollie Gordon has more value than I previously thought. I didn't rank him earlier. And Jalen Wright has been a healthy scratch. I trust Ollie Gordon to get a few extra touches in this bad weather game. On defense, safety Elijah Campbell is out for the Dolphins. Cornerback Storm Duck and linebacker Tyrell Dotson, both of them are questionable. In Cleveland, in this bad weather game as well, David Njoku, tight end, is out with a knee injury. That was expected. He did not practice at all this week. So Harold Fannin Jr. does step up, does get a boost in value, but I'm more interested in him rest of season than in this game. Personally, I'm not excited about the bad weather. The wind is expected to be over 40, even over 50 miles per hour gusts, and the rain is a lock. It's going to be a gross environment in this matchup. So no thanks with the pass catchers. That's my personal bias. If you want to press your luck, be my guest. But another reason to feel good about Fannin is because Njoku has some trade rumors going on. It's possible Njoku is on the move, but I think they'll keep him. Cedric Tillman is also on IR, so there is added volume. Just hopefully the weather doesn't impact it too bad. Right tackle Jack Conklin is questionable with a concussion, not expecting him to play. And then defensive tackle Mason Graham is questionable with a knee injury. Defensive end Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is questionable with a hip. And then defensive tackle Mike Hall Jr. looks like he'll come back, is questionable. Not sure, but I think he'll play. In New England, that Patriots-Titans game also has some bad weather, but not as bad as the Browns game. It'll be relevant. The wind is expected to be close to 20 miles per hour. That is a factor. But for the Patriots, Stephon Diggs is questionable with a chest injury. He was limited Wednesday, Thursday, and full on Friday, but he still has the injury designation. He is a game time call. I'm expecting Diggs to suit up. I think you should start him. I ranked him in the top 30. Antonio Gibson has been on IR for a couple weeks now. He's out for the entire year. And then on defense, linebacker Harold Landry is questionable with an ankle. Safety Jalen Hawkins, questionable with a hamstring. And cornerback Charles Woods is questionable as well with a hamstring. For the Titans, Calvin Ridley, the wide receiver, is out. He exited last week with a hamstring, did not practice at all this week, and he probably is out yet again, if I had to guess, in week 8. So that's unfortunate. Elick Ayamanor and Van Jefferson will get the bump, but whoever draws Christian Gonzalez is not a good start. That's a rough matchup, and I'm not sure who it is. I think I want to avoid both Titans pass catchers, especially given the wind. It could be ugly. I think Okonkwo is probably the safest bet, but also maybe not ideal given the weather. On defense for the Titans, linebacker Arden Key is out yet again. Linebacker Draymond Jones is questionable. And then their guard on the offensive line, Blake Hance, is out as well. In the Raiders-Chiefs game, Las Vegas is still going to miss Brock Bowers. He's doubtful for this game. So Michael Mayer will get the start. I don't think Bowers will be back. He did not practice on Wednesday, Thursday, was limited Friday, but not encouraging. It's not sounding too good. They also have a bye in week 8. I don't think you can start Brock Bowers. And Michael Mayer probably going to get dropped after this matchup. Not the most roster appeal as a backup. I'd rather go with someone like Dalton Schultz or even Zach Ertz as well. But the wide receiver, Jacoby Myers, is also questionable with a knee and toe injury, and he had the same practice reps as Bowers. Didn't suit up Wednesday or Thursday, limited Friday. However, they are still considering him a game time call. The matchup is horrendous. He's been bad. I do not trust Jacoby Myers. I would be benching Myers if I can. I'm not excited even if he suits up. That is barely a 50-50 call at the moment. Their defense is pretty healthy, though, nothing to mention of note. And for the Chiefs, they're very healthy overall. They also get Rashee Rice back from suspension. But despite being healthy, left tackle Josh Simmons, the rookie, is not going to play. He's been ruled out with a personal situation going on. So prayers for him, whatever it is. Hope he's all right. However, otherwise, the Chiefs have no new injuries since late August. They're a very healthy team. That is not that good for everyone else. For the Eagles and Vikings game, tight end Grant Calcaterra of Philadelphia is out for the second week in a row, and Goddard did capitalize on the extra routes last week. Perhaps that does benefit him again. But on the defensive side, cornerback Quinyon Mitchell is active. That was a concern earlier in the week, but he will play. And then left guard Landon Dickerson is a game time call. He's questionable. We'll see what happens. And lastly, defensive end Jalen Carter is questionable, but is expected to play. He didn't suit up last week. So that is good for Philadelphia. They're getting healthier, and maybe Goddard does benefit with no Calcaterra. In the Vikings offense, J.J. McCarthy is questionable with an ankle injury. I do not think he will play. It looks like he'll be the third string quarterback for this matchup. So that is great for Carson Wentz. He'll get the revenge start, and that also benefits the passing game. I trust Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison much more with Wentz at quarterback. But the Vikings play on Thursday against Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. I think if there is a matchup where McCarthy is vying to play, it would be the Thursday night game against LA. So I think he'll be back on Thursday, but on Sunday we get Carson Wentz, and that does help the offense, in my opinion. Aaron Jones is still on IR, not really an update there, so not sure when he comes back. Xavier Scott would be the pass catcher in the backfield. Their offensive line is getting a bit healthier. They were banged up before the bye. Their left guard is fully healthy. He will play, but center Michael Juergens and right tackle Brian O'Neill are still game time decisions, both questionable. I think they'll suit up. It is not a guarantee. And then on defense, yet again, they are without linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel. The veteran will not play yet again. For the Panthers-Jets game, Carolina is getting Chuba Hubbard back. He was full in practice on Friday with that calf injury, limited Wednesday, Thursday, but he is active in this matchup off the injury report. So that means Rico Dowdle loses value. But given how Rico has played and given the contract they give to Chuba Hubbard, I don't think either of them will disappear. I think it's a two-man committee similar to the Seahawks backfield. I think both of them will see even amount of touches in this matchup. But Chuba is coming off injury. Maybe they do favor Rico just a little bit. He's been so good, I wouldn't want to fade Rico too much. But I do think Hubbard will factor in. I think both of them have good games against a rough Jets defense. But on offense, Jalen Coker is expected to play activated off of the IR, so he will make his season debut. Sadly, the matchup is not as good this week as it was against Dallas in week 6. But Bryce Young will benefit. Tet McMillan might lose value. And then on the offense as well, tight end Jatavian Sanders is active as well. He missed the last few games, and similar to Coker, he was full in practice, not just Friday, but also on Thursday. So Tommy Tremble goes back to irrelevance. Jatavion's interesting, but I want to see it first. Might be an interesting pickup off the wire after this matchup. But for the offensive line of the Panthers, they are kind of depleted. Center Austin Corbett has been on IR, but is expected to come back. However, guard Damian Lewis and right tackle Taylor Moton are both questionable. Not sure if they're going to play in this game. On defense, linebacker Patrick Jones is out for the year. That's unfortunate. The Jets are without Garrett Wilson. He is doubtful, did not practice at all this week, so not expecting his knee injury to be solved. He is not going to suit up against Carolina. So maybe Alan Lazard and Josh Reynolds are more valuable, but I don't trust them. At running back, Braylon Allen is on IR until at least week 13 or later. And defensive end Jamarcus Weston is questionable as well. Their cornerback Quantez Stiggers is doubtful. Cornerback Michael Carter has a concussion. He's questionable to play. And linebacker Cam Jones is doubtful as well. Don't expect Cam on the field. In the Giants-Broncos game, we all know that Malik Neighbors is on IR. I mixed him up with Wandale earlier in the week, but I am aware he is on IR. And Darius Slayton is not coming back in this game. He did not practice at all this week with that hamstring injury. He is out. So look to Jalen Hyatt and mainly Lil Jordan Humphrey to step up without him. Lil Jordan had 8 targets last week. I think he would be the plug and play behind Wandale. But against Denver, no thanks. I don't want to test a bad Broncos matchup. On the offensive line, center John Michael Schwartz is out with a concussion. And then on defense, they're without several linebackers and defensive end Chauncey Golston. He's out. Linebacker Victor Dimukeje is also out. Might be coming back from IR, but not a guarantee yet. Linebacker Abdul Carter is questionable with a hamstring. Linebacker Swayze Bowman is out with an ankle injury. And then linebacker Demetrius Flanagan Fowles is out as well with a hamstring. They are missing several linebackers for the Giants. In Denver, they are one of the healthiest offenses and defenses in the league. Only guard Ben Powers and offensive tackle Matt Peart are both on IR. The O-line is the only problem. But one of them, I think, is a backup, so not that big of a deal. Linebacker Jonah Ellis is out, and then linebacker Garrett Wallow is also on IR. Lastly, though, linebacker Dre Greenlaw has been on IR for a while. He is upgraded to questionable. I think he will play in this matchup. He is getting healthier. That is an addition that is valuable on defense. In the Colts-Chargers game, Indianapolis is without Josh Downs, out with a concussion, and wide receiver Ashton Doolin has a chest injury. He is not going to play either. So I do think Alec Pierce gets an added boost in volume. Maybe A.D. Mitchell tries to redeem himself at SoFi with a deep touchdown. However, Michael Pittman is the main safe option alongside Tyler Warren. But Alec Pierce is interesting. Don't write off Alec Pierce. Backup running back Tyler Goodson is questionable. That is an upgrade, but kind of irrelevant behind Jonathan Taylor. And then cornerback Charvarius Ward is not just out with a concussion again, but was placed on IR. He got hit in the pregame warm-up by accident last week, and he is now going to miss a minimum 4 more games. Bummer for Charvarius Ward. But he's their top corner. That is a benefit to Ladd McConkey and the other receivers. I would be starting all 3 Chargers wide receivers with no Charvarius Ward. Cornerback Kenny Moore on the right side is also questionable with an Achilles injury. I think he'll play, but it's not a guarantee. He's not 100%. The Chargers are without Omarion Hampton, who's on IR, and it sounds like he will miss more than the 4-week minimum at running back. So perhaps Kimani Vidal has extended value. That's unfortunate, but Hampton is expected to return at some point, just not in 5 games. Backup running back Hassan Haskins is questionable with a chest injury, but was full in practice all week. They're just a little cautious. I think he'll be fine. I think he will play, but I only trust Kamani. He outtouched him 21-7. Last week, Quentin Johnston didn't play either, but he is active for this game. He's back on the field. He was full in Thursday and Friday practice. On the offensive line, sadly, left tackle Joe Alt is not going to come back. He's doubtful to return. And right tackle Trey Pipkins is also out. So the offensive line is depleted. The Chargers will struggle at stopping the pass rush. But the game is on Thursday. That might factor into some of these questionable tags as well. There's a lot of players that might return, but they might also save them for Thursday's game. For instance, left tackle, the backup Jamari Salyer is questionable as well. Cornerback Elijah Molden is doubtful, and linebacker Troy Dye is also questionable as well. But they might be getting back Khalil Mack. He's been on IR since, I believe, week 2, and he is looking likely to return. So that's positive news. Linebacker Denzel Perryman is also probably going to return off of IR. However, defensive end Deshaun Hand and linebacker Junior Colson remain on IR themselves. So some players come back, most players don't. But in general, Quentin Johnston and Khalil Mack do move the needle significantly. I'm still going to take the Colts, but I do think the Chargers will put up a good fight. In the Commanders-Cowboys game, there are some injuries here, and Terry McLaurin has been ruled out earlier in the week. So I did see that coming. He didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday, was just off to the side on Friday, and he's not playing with that quad injury. He is still not back. So that opens the door for Debo, but Debo's also been ruled out. He has a heel injury, and while he was limited in practice on Friday, he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday, and it's not going to happen. He did not even travel to Dallas to play this game. So Debo ruled out already, which means Zach Ertz is a more attractive option. He's dealing with a shoulder and calf injury. He is questionable, and he is 34, almost 35 years old. He did not practice Wednesday, but it looks like that was just rest. He was full on Thursday, and then on Friday, he was limited. So they're just making sure he's all right. He's questionable, but I do think Ertz will suit up, and a touchdown is more likely to go to him with Debo off the field. But all of the backup receivers do get a boost. I think Chris Moore, Luke McCaffrey, and Jalen Lane have such a good matchup. They are interesting. I did bump them up all inside my top 40. If you are super desperate, you could look to a Commanders wideout just because the matchup against Dallas is that good. But on defense, they are without defensive end Drake Jackson. He's on IR. Defensive end Dorrance Armstrong is questionable. He might come back. Their guard, Sam Cosmi, he's ruled out. And lastly, cornerback Jonathan Jones is questionable, but I think he will return from IR. They are getting a bit healthier overall. But in Dallas, wide receiver CeeDee Lamb is active. He will play, and he was full in practice on Friday. So hopefully there's no limitation, but it's his first week back. The injury timeline included this game, so I could see it slightly diminished in terms of overall volume, but Lamb is definitely a player I want to start. Running back Miles Sanders is still on IR, so Jaden Blue is the backup, but not going to trust him at all. And it looks like Kevontae Turpin is also going to suit up, so not going to trust Ryan Flournoy with Turpin coming back, and Lamb definitely loses value. On the defensive side, though, cornerback Trayvon Diggs is not going to play, so a bad secondary going to be even worse. And then free safety Wanye Thomas is questionable as well, not 100%. Their defensive end Marshawn Nealand, questionable as well. And linebacker Demarion Overshone is still not coming back. He's been ruled out yet again. Safety Malik Hooker still on IR, and cornerback Josh Butler is out as well. Those injuries are a big reason why the defense is so bad. In the Packers-Cardinals game, Green Bay has Josh Jacobs on the injury report. He's questionable with a calf injury and illness, but I'm fully expecting him to play. He was limited Wednesday, Thursday, but it seems like it was because of the illness, not the calf. And he was full on Friday. I'm expecting him to suit up. Not worried about Josh Jacobs. But kicker Brandon McManus is questionable. I think he'll suit up, but not a guarantee. You might need a different kicker. And then wide receiver Dontavian Wicks is questionable as well, but limited all week in practice. I think he'll suit up. I think he's fine. But this is one of the last weeks before Christian Watson returns to the lineup. He's been practicing in limited capacity, but will not suit up. He's been ruled out for this game. I think he'll be back next week against Pittsburgh. On the offensive line, right tackle Zach Tom is questionable, but left guard Aaron Banks is fully healthy. He's active and good to go. Defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt has been ruled out, and then defensive end Lucas Van Ness is also out as well. But in the secondary, cornerback Nate Hobbs and Keyshawn Nixon are both questionable. I think they'll play. It's not a lock. On the opposite side of the ball for the Cardinals, Arizona is probably going to start Jacoby Brissett. It's looking like that because Kyler was limited in practice late in the week, but only practicing with the backups. He is the backup quarterback if he does suit up. So fully expecting Brissett to be the guy. I think that actually benefits some of the pass catchers. There's less likely a rushing touchdown that vultures them, and I like the production down the field as well. Brissett does not scramble as much as Kyler. The offense looked better last week without Kyler on the field. So I like Marvin Harrison Jr. He will be active. That concussion protocol has been cleared. He's good to go. And last week when he was out, Zay Jones stepped up, but Zay Jones is questionable with a knee injury. Didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday, only limited on Friday. I think he'll play, but he's a game time call. And if Harrison is active, he's irrelevant. Not going to trust Zay Jones at all. At running back, we know that James Conner and Trey Benson are on IR, but they do have a bye in week 8, and Amari DiMercado is also out. So maybe you trust Bam Knight and Michael Carter, but I think Benson might return after the bye. And at that point, what's the value? I think you could drop them if you're not planning to start one of those backup running backs. You don't have to keep them. I think Benson might be back in week 9 after the bye, but not a guarantee. Maybe you want to hold on a little bit longer. And then on the offensive line, right guard Will Hernandez is questionable. Defensive end Darius Robinson is also questionable. He's missed a few games, so that's moving in the right direction. And sadly, defensive tackle Walter Nolan is still on IR, not ready to come back to practice. He is yet to play. He's been their first round pick. Totally inactive this year. In the Falcons-Niners game, Ray McCloud will miss a second game in a row off the bye. He didn't play last week. And Darnell Mooney didn't either, but I think Mooney will suit up. He was limited Wednesday, Thursday, didn't practice Friday, but based on Coach Raheem Morris's comments, I think that was planned. I think they will expect him to play. I think that was just maintenance related. According to the coach, he feels good that Mooney will suit up. So it's Sunday Night Football. There aren't that many other games to pivot to. He's a game time decision. I think it's pretty risky. He has not played well when he was active in the first place. So a decent bench stash, but probably too risky to start. I could understand dropping Mooney if you need the space. But on the offensive line, left tackle Jake Matthews is questionable. On defense, nickel cornerback Billy Bowman is out. And so is linebacker Jalen Walker. The rookie is not going to play with a groin injury. Lastly, safety Jordan Fuller is on IR, but expected to return. Their defense will look better in the secondary with him active. For the Niners, Brock Purdy is out, so Mac Jones gets the start yet again. The offense has been good with him, so not going to panic about it. Kendrick Bourne definitely benefits with Mac Jones, a go-to target given their Patriots connection back in the day. But Ricky Pearsall is out. He's not coming back. And Juwan Jennings is active, but he's playing through 5 cracked ribs and a sprained ankle. Last week he sucked. I do not trust Juwan Jennings. I'm only starting Kendrick Bourne at receiver. But Brandon Ayuk is still out. His return is getting closer, but still not optimistic. It comes before week 10. And tight end George Kittle will come back to the field. He's been activated off of IR. He will play. He's been out since week 1. That does sound good if you roster George Kittle like I do. MVS was placed on IR. Fred Warner also went on IR. We know Nick Bosa's on IR, and cornerback Renardo Green is not a lock to play. He's questionable as well. But defensive tackle Kevin Givens is going to return from IR. He's coming back. Defensive end Gross Matos has been ruled out. And lastly, cornerback Upton Stout is questionable as well for the Niners. Only 4 more teams left, though. The Bucks and Lions. Bucky Irving is still not practicing. He's definitely out for this game. And I'm not sure he'll come back next week either. So Rachaad White is a safe start. And Sean Tucker does have some vulture appeal. I didn't rank him. I think I should put him a little higher than top 50. But I don't think Chris Godwin's going to play. He's been ruled out, so definitely not going to start him. But Mike Evans is a game time decision. He was limited Thursday, didn't practice Friday, but then back to limited on Saturday. So he missed 3 weeks with a hamstring injury last year. He also missed 3 weeks with a hamstring, and I think he'll play. Given the matchup, I think in this primetime game, Evans will play. Given he's practicing in any capacity, that's a good sign. I expect the veteran on the field. But surprise, surprise, the rookie Egbuka might be a game time decision as well. And he didn't practice Thursday or Friday, but then on Saturday in warmups, he was limited. So he's a game time call. You need a backup, though. I'm not convinced he does play. It's a very risky proposition. If you do not have a backup, it is a Monday game, and the best pivot would be Jamison Williams. Otherwise, it would be Sterling Shepard, and then you might get forced to go with Cooper Kupp or Torrey Horton, or a rookie like Jaden Higgins in Houston, unless you have Nico Collins. But if you have Nico, then you're definitely starting him regardless. So really the best backup option would be Sterling Shepard or Jamison Williams. But if Egbuka plays, I would want to start him. A great matchup here against Detroit. But if not, then Shepard would be the guy. Tez Johnson has value, so does Cade Otton. We'll see what happens, but it looks like Egbuka is a game time decision. On the offensive line, right guard Luke Haggard is out. And then on defense, linebacker Levante David is questionable for Tampa. On the Lions side of the ball, their offense is overall pretty healthy, except on the O-line. Left tackle Taylor Decker has missed some games, but is questionable. I think he'll suit up. And left guard Miles Frazier has been ruled out. But on defense, they are reeling. Defensive tackle DJ Reader is questionable. And linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez still inactive. But in the secondary is where they have a lot of problems. They have 15 total depth pieces in the secondary, and 9 of them are inactive. 9 of them are not going to play. Most notably, cornerback Terrion Arnold, cornerback Avonte Maddox. Both of them are out and not healthy. Free safety Kirby Joseph is also out with injury. And then strong safety Brian Branch was suspended for smacking Juju. They also have a bunch of guys on IR like Khalil Dorsey, Dan Jackson, Daniel Thomas, DJ Reed, and rookie Ennis Rakestraw. None of them are healthy. So Baker is going to torch them, especially if Egbuka and Evans play. I would trust the pass catchers against this banged up Lions secondary. Last game of the week, the Texans traveled to Seattle, and the running back Joe Mixon has no update. He's still out, have no idea when he's coming back, so Woody Marks in a bad matchup is the only guy I'd trust. The Seahawks are very good at stopping the run, but they're not that good at stopping pass catchers in the backfield. So Woody Marks would be the better option over Nick Chubb, but probably not safe enough to start. Wide receiver Christian Kirk is out with a hamstring injury. He's not going to suit up, and it happened midweek. He was full Thursday, limited Friday, and then did not practice at all on Saturday, unfortunately. So he's not going to play. Maybe the rookies Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel step up, but Xavier Hutchinson also had 2 touchdowns last week. It is a hard receiver room to trust beyond Nico Collins. There are no new injuries, though, on defense since the bye. Most notably, Jimmy Ward is out, but he's been out all year. Nothing has changed. Lastly, the Seahawks are healthy on offense, so no concerns for fantasy purposes. But then on defense, they're getting healthy in the secondary. They were without Devon Witherspoon, Reek Woolen, and Julian Love last week. And Witherspoon is already good to go. He's active, fully practiced. And Reek Woolen is questionable. He was limited in practice. So is Julian Love. I think both of them will play, given they were limited earlier in the week. But lastly, linebacker Derek Hall is questionable as well. Those are all of the injury updates across the league for every team. So lastly, let's move on. Let's talk about my updated rankings at every position. And at running back, I am still going to start Rico Dowdle. I dropped him down 10 spots. He was previously number 7, so everybody else moves up behind him. However, I did upgrade JCM by 3 total spots. He jumps Swift and Scattaboo because Deebo Samuel and Terry are not going to play. There's just less mouths to compete with, and I think they might lean on the run a little bit extra. I trust JCM. The volume has been increasing, and the Cowboys don't scare you. So he moves up the most in my rankings by 3 spots overall. I would rather start him than Swift and Scattaboo. He moves up a full tier as well. But I did drop down Rico Dowdle to number 17, so 10 spots overall behind J.K. Dobbins. And then I have Chuba Hubbard right behind him. I previously did not rank Chuba at all. So I think you should start both of them as RB2s. I think the volume will be there. And given Dowdle has been so prolific, I don't think they go off of him too much. But reports say that given the contract to Chuba Hubbard, he's still their guy, and Dowdle is the number 2. I don't fully buy it. I need to see what happens. I think both of them will see equal amount of touches. And against the Jets, they probably win easily, given they don't have Garrett Wilson. So I see a lot of good game script to run the ball. I like both of them as top 20 options. But rest of season, I could see it look like Seattle's backfield, where it's a big committee between the two. So not ideal. Sadly, Rico loses value, but Chuba, I think, doesn't go away. I think both of them are top 20. The matchup isn't bad, but I think they're better than David Montgomery. So with Chuba entering the mix, Montgomery moves down one spot. And then I feel less confident in Jordan Mason because Jalen Carter is probably going to suit up. Carter has been out, and when he's missed, the running backs have thrived on the Eagles. They're a much tougher matchup with Carter active. So Mason is less interesting. I could still see Xavier Scott vulture him with better game script to pass the ball. Mason doesn't catch enough passes, so I don't think he's more valuable than David Montgomery. The matchup is more difficult because Jalen Carter will play. But otherwise, everybody in my top 20 is still in my top 20. And so if you were planning to start them, I think you're still going to do it. The only one that loses value is Jordan Mason, just barely. And then I did upgrade JCM just a little bit himself. But Dowdle does get sandwiched with Chuba between Dobbins and Montgomery. They are just low-end RB2s, but I'd rather go with all of them than Kimani Vidal. He's the last guy I'm comfortable with. The running back position is really gross after the top 21, but I feel more confident in Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson given the wind and weather is bad in Tennessee. The matchup is so good the Titans cannot stop the run at all. They've given up 10 touchdowns to opposing running backs. So I think one of them will score. It's possible both score, and I think they're interesting flex options. I'd rather go with them above Zach Charbonnet and Ken Walker. I think they're in a better situation against the Titans as opposed to Houston. So they move up 3 spots by jumping them and Alvin Kamara. I'm less excited about Kamara because the Bears defense looked good last week, and Kamara doesn't give me much excitement. Rarely scores a touchdown and will be competing with Taysom Hill and Kendry Miller on the goal line. So less interested in Kamara. I dropped him down. I'm more interested in Ramondre and Travion. Hopefully one of them really emerges, but sadly it's big enough committee where neither is elite. Lastly, I'm a little bit more interested in guys like Ollie Gordon and Sean Tucker. I didn't rank him previously, so they move up 10 spots in the rankings, but still probably not going to trust him. But given the weather in Cleveland, I do think Jerome Ford and Ollie Gordon do have some value. And then Sean Tucker, given the injuries at receiver, might also score a touchdown, but probably not. I doubt I'll start them, but they should have been ranked. They previously were not. So those are all the updates at running back. Now let's talk about wide receiver, where the main difference is just the surprise on Emeka Egbuka. I removed Deebo Samuel from my top 15, so with Egbuka coming in, everyone should drop down one spot, but only up until George Pickens is it relevant because Deebo was taken out. But if you're telling me Egbuka will play, I think he's a must start. He's been so good this year. I don't want to fade him. The Lions secondary is really missing a lot of pieces, and Baker's an MVP candidate. Egbuka looks so good. I'd rather go Egbuka than Mike Evans. So they're both in my top 11. I would definitely start both of them, and they are locks if active. But given it's Monday, there is risk. I think you need a backup plan, and that's where Egbuka may just ride your bench if you don't have one. If you don't have JMO or Sterling Shepard, I doubt you have a good option because Nico is already in the lineup. Otherwise, you're leaning on Evans, and he's already probably in the lineup. So good luck there. I do think Sterling Shepard would be a top 30 option if Egbuka does not play. So this rank on him at 29 is tentative. If you tell me Egbuka does suit up though, then Shepard would drop down to wide receiver 51. He would not be safe at all. He is strictly a handcuff receiver given Egbuka is a game time call. So good luck there. The matchup is good though. So I do see a lot of upside with Shepard. I think a touchdown could easily happen playing with Baker Mayfield. So a good start if Egbuka's out, but mainly just contingent value. I doubt if you don't have Igbukah, you're trying to pivot to Shepard, given it's possible Igbukah could play and Shepard would be shit. So that's really the only thing to mention in terms of the players I'm starting. But outside the top 35, I do have the 3 Commanders backups in the top 40. I have Chris Moore, who I didn't rank earlier, moving up 25 spots. I think given he had the most targets last week, he's probably the safest bet, and I was overlooking him. So I would rather go him than Luke McCaffrey, but only by 1 spot, and then Jalen Lane is right behind them. You can't tell me with confidence you know exactly where the ball is going to go in Washington. So the matchup is so good. I think all 3 of them do have value, do have upside, and they're all inside my top 30 because the Cowboys just cannot do anything to stop opposing receivers. So I think they could be interesting, but feels so risky, so random. I'm probably not going to do it. I'd rather go Tutu Atwell or Sterling Shepard off the waiver wire if Igbukah is out. Give me Tutu Atwell as the best waiver wire pickup with no Puka Nacua, but only 2 spots behind him. You could do way worse than the Commanders' backups. But with them moving up, everybody else moves down by 3 spots, so that's not as tempting. Alec Pierce, also kind of interesting, but at wide receiver 40, feels a bit too risky at that point. And then lastly, Tez Johnson would not be ranked at all if Igbukah does play. He's at 53 right now, but not going to pick him up given it's only contingent on Igbukah not playing, and now it's possible he will play. So that's it at wide receiver. Now let's move on to quarterback. And at 1 and 2, I did flip Patrick Mahomes and Jaden Daniels, given Deebo Samuel's out, and I don't trust the receivers for the Commanders as much. Even though the matchup is so good against the Cowboys, I just can't consider Daniels in the same tier as Mahomes. Mahomes has been the QB1 this season. I think he goes off against Las Vegas. I literally think he puts on a clinic, and I am starting to pivot. I think the Cowboys might beat Washington instead. So still a shootout. I do have Daniels at 2, but I previously had him at 1, and I am flipping that. I am dropping Daniels below the purple line. Mahomes is in a tier of his own because Lamar and Josh Allen are on bye. Outside the top 15 are the only changes being made. If I told you to start them, if they were in the streaming conversation and you were planning, I didn't change anything in those rankings. But outside the top 15, I did lower my opinion on Sam Darnold and Jackson Dart. The matchup is just so bad. I think they should be at the bottom of the tier, not the top. But they have had some upside. It is tempting. I still think you could offer them in your lineup in a Superflex league and be okay with it. But I think they're going to be worse than Stafford and Lawrence. I'd rather go Stafford and Lawrence than Darnold and Jackson Dart. I also downgraded CJ Stroud given the corners for the Seahawks are getting healthy. He is less appealing in that scenario. So he moves down 3 spots. Everybody else behind him moves up 1. But those are really the only opinions being changed. Less interested in Stroud, Dart, and Darnold. Good luck, but odds are you're going to bench him. Lastly, at tight end, this is the last position where I made some changes, and Brock Bowers was previously at number 5. Now he's doubtful. I removed him from the ranks, and I brought Michael Mayer up 14 spots. He's now at number 17, and you could pivot to him, but given they have a bye in week 8, and it doesn't feel like the sexiest play, I think there's better options off the wire. I upgraded Zach Ertz 3 spots. He's now tight end number 9 overall, given Debo's out as well as Terry. That should be a safe start. I think he'll play. He is questionable, though. Got to make sure by game time. And then Dalton Schultz is still one of my favorite streamers at number 10. He stays put, but he does get jumped by Zach Ertz. And then Mason Taylor in such a good matchup, I think, is more appealing. He does jump Cade Otton, given Igbukah might suit up Otton, loses slight value. But Michael Mayer comes in at 17, like I mentioned, below the black line. Given the bye comes right after, I don't think it's worth rostering Michael Mayer. So that's it at tight end, and I didn't change anything at defense. So on the screen here are all my top 20 rankings at quarterback, tight end, and defense. And I feel more comfortable starting players above the green line, but above the black line that is neutral. I would still consider them fine flex options if you're streaming the position. So that's it at those 3 spots. If you need it longer, go ahead and pause the screen to make those lineup decisions. And lastly, these are my running back and wide receiver updates. And overall, I would much rather start a wide receiver in the flex than a running back. The green line has much more significance at receiver than running back. I think behind the green line, it is way more risky. I hate the matchup for Genty Etienne and Breece Hall. And then the Patriots and Seahawks backfield is so annoying. I don't trust either of them. So if you can get a wide receiver in your lineup, I rank above the black line. Like even AJ Brown, I would start above Ashton Genty. I much more prefer the flex play receivers than the flex play running backs. It's really gross, in my opinion, beyond the top 21. So that's really the only insight I'll give you. Otherwise, if you have any flex decisions that have still not been answered, let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to answer them. But that's going to be it for this video. Before I sign off, though, I am updating one of my picks. Straight up, I'm going to move off of Washington. I don't think they're going to win without Deebo Samuel or Terry. When I picked them, I thought at least one of them would play. I was hopeful both would play. And with CeeDee Lamb coming back, I do trust Dallas a little bit more. So the Cowboys defense is so bad they can lose to anyone like the Panthers, but then their offense is so good they can also beat anyone. They almost beat Green Bay. So in division, they will step up. I think Dallas plays better at home. Give me Dak Prescott and the Cowboys to beat Washington, knowing that neither receiver will be active for the Commanders. So I did pick Washington straight up, but also against the spread, I had the -2.5, and I'm definitely changing my opinion if I'm now picking Dallas to win. So I will take the Cowboys +2.5, and I do think that is the safer side. If they're getting points, give me Dallas +2.5. But Monday's video, the line has decreased. It's more of a pick 'em now. Dallas -1.5 is the favorite. I will take the Cowboys in this line. I think they can win by at least 2 points. Give me the favorites, Dallas over Washington. I'm fully flipping my opinion on this matchup. But lastly, I'm less excited about taking the New England Patriots as 7-point favorites. The line is actually down to 6.5, and it's tempting to just take that extra half point. But honestly, because of the weather, I think this game is going to be pretty low scoring. I do not see an elite performance by the Patriots offense. So I'm actually going to flip my pick against the spread. I will now pivot to Tennessee +6.5. I just don't see a lot of points. And this game means so much to them given they fired their head coach. And Vrabel's coming to town. I think they step up and play well. I don't think the Titans win, but I think they cover. There's been a lot of underdogs that have covered. I will take the Titans +6.5. So those are my updated bets. I got the Bengals +5.5 correct. I'll take the Vikings +2.5. The line has gotten wider on the Bucs game, so I'm taking the extra point. Give me Tampa +5.5. On Monday, it was 4.5. I'm taking the Bucs as underdogs to win straight up. And then the Saints +4.5 is my pick as well. The Rattler revenge game against Caleb Williams. And then I am taking Dallas -1.5 and then Tennessee +6.5. That's going to be it for this video. That is all she wrote. And my name's Adam Riancho. If you enjoyed, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I will see you next time, and I hope you get the dub in week 7. Thank you for watching. Nice and blunt.